accentuate the impact, that means that's a 58% increase in carjackings and an astounding 350% increase in home invasions year over year. These violent incidents, needless to say, have impact not just on the victims that are targeted, but the entire community around them. And that is why we are here, not in a police facility, but standing in one of these communities that was affected by this. Right here in this community right behind us, we've had 3 of these specific home invasions occur. The reason we're here is also to let the community know that we will not tolerate these incidents, that we will follow up, pursue, investigate, and arrest those that are involved and charge them. This, in fact, is a symbol of us taking back this community and making sure that it will not be tolerated here in Peel Region, and that we will continue to devote the resources that we need to stop these individuals that endanger the lives of those. And this project is another example of the remarkable work our men and women do here in Peel Region. Since late 2023 and into the spring of this year, investigators with the Central Robbery Unit have been investigating several home invasions, carjackings, and robberies with this organized criminal network. These offenses have not only occurred in Brampton and Mississauga, but also in other municipalities, as you will hear. They were targeting high-end vehicle and luxury items. In total, 17 incidents in Peel Region, many of which have affected families. And just to be specific, the home invasions have involved individuals waking up to firearms being presented to them in their beds, children's at home being traumatized. I have had the opportunity, thanks to Deputy Milanovic, to read a couple of the victim impact statements of the individuals. It has forever changed the lives of some of these families and the children on the way they live on a day-to-day basis. And the compromise on public safety goes beyond just the numbers that we're quoting to you. The ripple impact that we all know is one which deserves a strong response from a police service. I'm pleased to share that through the dedicated work of this team that is behind us, and I have to say, we often have the pleasure of standing in front to announce these arrests, but it comes from the tireless work of these investigators that are some of the finest in this country. We have arrested 18 individuals that are believed to be responsible for these crimes and laid over 150 charges. In addition to these arrests, our investigators have seized 4 firearms, 3 of which we have been able to successfully trace to the U.S., an additional 2 replica firearms and ammunition that came along with it. Also seized was $55,000 in luxury items recovered during the investigation, as well as 12 vehicles valued at approximately $1.2 million that were either used as crime vehicles or as a result of the carjackings and home invasions. Again, I want to extend my appreciation to the investigators from Central Robbery Unit for their tireless work. As you can see, they're a small but mighty team. They're also supplemented with an officer with the assistance from the Ontario Provincial Police, who I want to thank Commissioner Tom Creek, as well as the Provincial Joint Carjacking Task Force, which aided the investigation. The assistance of York Regional Police, Waterloo Regional Police, and Barrie Police on this investigation have also been very appreciated. These investigations can't be done alone. They require numerous resources, and with that, we are pleased to be supported by the Ontario government and the Ministry of the Solicitor General. And thank you to Director Jim Walker of the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario for supporting this investigation. We also are very appreciative here in Peel for the support of our Peel Police Services Board, which continues to support us with resources to put a dent in violent crime in this community. I want to conclude before I pass it on to the investigators is just to address the innocent victims that are impacted by these terrible crimes. We understand the unease and the trauma that you all feel. We share your concern. I want you to know, on behalf of Peel Regional Police, we will do everything in our power to continue to arrest and stop these individuals, to seize firearms from them, and to ensure that these criminals do not victimize our community anymore. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn it over to Detective Alan Dean of our Central Robbery team to provide further details on this investigation. Alan?
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Acting Detective Alan Dean of the Central Robbery Bureau, and I am the lead investigator of Project Warlock. While the investigation into these people responsible for these crimes is nearing completion, other portions of the investigation are still ongoing. As a result, I may not be able to answer questions about certain aspects of this investigation. Between November of 2023 and January of 2024, 8 violent robbery incidents occurred in Brampton. These included home invasions, carjackings, and commercial robberies. The suspects targeted jewelry, currency, designer clothing, and luxury vehicles. During the course of one home invasion, a victim sustained a life-threatening gunshot wound to his lower body. The initial investigations into these 8 incidents identified an organized criminal network based in Brampton and Mississauga as being responsible for these robberies. The discovery led to the creation of Project Warlock. The project team from the Central Robbery Bureau utilized various investigative techniques and invested thousands of hours gathering evidence. Throughout the 6-month investigation, an additional 9 robbery incidents that occurred in Peel Region were also linked to this criminal network. Investigators arrested 18 individuals, laid 150 criminal charges, and executed over 60 search warrants. 12 stolen vehicles valued over $1.2 million were recovered, in addition to $55,000 worth of stolen property. 4 loaded prohibited handguns were seized. 3 of the firearms originated from the United States. The 4th had the serial number removed and is yet to be traced at this time. 97 rounds of ammunition, numerous high-capacity magazines, and 2 replica firearms were also seized. In addition to the robbery charges, some of the involved parties have been charged with breach of release orders, breach of probation, firearm offenses, drug possession and trafficking offenses, breach of trust, intimate partner violence-related charges, and possession of property obtained by crime. The following individuals were identified and arrested: Nania Quarton, a 21-year-old from Mississauga; Mark Obahat, a 19-year-old from Brampton; Josiah Farrell, a 21-year-old from Brampton; Kashawn Grenier, a 21-year-old from Brampton; Tyrese Williams, a 24-year-old from Brampton; Patrick Kubu, a 19-year-old from Brampton; Isaiah Grenier, a 19-year-old from Brampton; Mohammed Muhib, a 23-year-old from London; Ayub Abdi, a 22-year-old from Milton; O'Neill Antubam, a 23-year-old from Mississauga; Brianna Nash, a 26-year-old from Brampton; Tashawn Kirkhover, a 24-year-old from Brampton; Antoine Betty, a 27-year-old from Brampton; Inderpal Dillon, a 26-year-old from Brampton; and 3 young persons aged between 14 and 17. The investigation also uncovered evidence for an additional 2 robberies outside of Peel Region. This information was shared with a partnering law enforcement agency, and as a result, an additional 51 criminal charges were laid. The successful completion of this investigation was made possible through funding provided by the Ontario Government, Ministry of the Solicitor General, in which the Criminal Intelligence Services of Ontario supported the Peel Regional Police Central Robbery Bureau. We would also like to recognize the communication and collaboration involving our law enforcement partners, including York Police, Waterloo Police, Ontario Provincial Police, Barrie Police, and the Provincial Carjacking Task Force. I would now like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich to provide further comments.
Thank you, and good morning. I would like to start by adding my congratulations to really the investigative team that you are seeing standing behind me today. They've done some incredible work. We appreciate your determination towards protecting our community safety, and you have demonstrated that commitment through, as you've heard, thousands of hours of work. In addition to that, you've also demonstrated perseverance to overcome and address many of the barriers towards doing that work. This investigation has all the hallmarks of the issues affecting our community's safety. It included the use of illegal firearms. Access to illegal firearms is becoming too prevalent. This year alone, our police service has seized almost 200 illegal firearms. On average, that's one per day. And nearly all of the firearms that are used in carjackings and home invasions are illegal firearms that are illegally smuggled through the U.S. This was the case as well with Project Warlock, as you've heard. You've also heard us talk about organized car theft. It continues to be an issue in our community. While we have worked hard on enforcement and advocating on behalf of our community, car theft continues to be an issue and is trending towards becoming more violent. Criminals are, as in Project Warlock, becoming increasingly violent and resorting to carjackings and home invasions. When these concerns are coupled with violent offenders who have been released on bail, it results in scenarios like Project Warlock. To be clear, a small percentage of violent criminals is creating the majority of violent crime. 6 of the 8 individuals in this investigation that were arrested had previous charges and were on various forms of release. 15 of the 8 arrested in this project were held for bail by the investigative team that you see behind us. Of the 15 held for bail, more than half have been released. But despite these challenges around firearms, repeat offenders, and car theft, the investigators that you see behind us and the women and men of our police service continue to do their best, putting their own safety aside to protect our community's safety, the community that we're in today. As the chief said, if criminals target our community, they can expect to be arrested, and we will pursue them until we resolve those investigations and restore feelings of community safety and well-being to our community, much like the one we're in today. I would also like to thank all the assisting law enforcement partners that helped on Project Warlock, particularly the Ontario Provincial Police and the Provincial Carjacking Task Force. We are grateful to the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario for their continued funding, support of our investigations. And of course, I would like to thank our Police Services Board, our region, and our community. They provide us the support and momentum necessary to see the results that we're enjoying today. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Graham McGregor, MPP for Brampton North and Parliamentary Assistant to the Solicitor General of Ontario.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here at Cassie Campbell with so many esteemed guests, but also some real heroes in the investigative team that's behind me this morning. Today's announcement of Project Warlock, coming just 1 week after the announcement of Project Chrome, is a perfect example of why it's such a good idea to fund police properly. The Doug Ford government takes a lot of hits for the support that we provide police. We put funding and rules in place to make it easier to recruit and train new police officers. We've invested in equipment to help them do their jobs, like automatic license plate readers or excitingly new helicopters coming for GTA police services. And we've invested in health and mental health supports to make life a little bit easier and a little bit better when the shift's over. When we make these investments, inevitably there are politicians and other public figures who are quick to criticize. They argue we shouldn't be funding the police the way that we are, that the funding would be better spent somewhere else. Heck, sometimes they just tell us to abolish the police altogether. I challenge those people to take a look at the charges laid in Project Warlock and tell me that the Peel Police aren't worth every damn penny the taxpayers spend on them. Our government is proud to have supported Project Warlock through the Ministry of the Solicitor General, specifically the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario. At a time when many residents feel unsafe, announcements like these help us all sleep a little bit easier. But now to address the elephant in the room. When I was briefed on Project Warlock, I was dismayed to hear that several of the suspects in custody were arrested while out on bail. And this is a story that residents are sick and tired of hearing. Repeat and violent offenders who continue to walk our streets because of the revolving door justice system. I hear from police regularly about catching the same criminal 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And to hear that today police are arresting the same people who've already been previously arrested breaks my heart. Project Warlock involves 18 arrests, 150 criminal code charges laid. That's 17 violent home invasions, armed robberies, and carjackings, guns and knives used against innocent people. Shame on our society if these individuals are allowed out on bail to do it again. I understand that it's the role of judges to interpret the law and make rulings. It's not a politician's business to get involved, fine. But the criminal code that they're interpreting is written by politicians, specifically the federal politicians that we have in Ottawa. Premier Ford wrote a letter over a year and a half ago, signed by all 13 provinces and territories in Canada, calling on Prime Minister Trudeau to implement meaningful bail reform. We have continued to see a revolving door justice system ever since. On behalf of the Ontario government, I'm echoing that call here today. We have 11 Liberal MPs here in Peel Region who represent the governing party. I hope that they're listening. I hope they're advocating to the Prime Minister to do the right thing. We've heard from the police on this, but put yourself in a victim's shoes. Imagine an armed scumbag breaks into your home, puts a gun to your head. Police do their jobs and catch the guy who did it. You expect him to go to jail, only you see him at the gym the next day because the lax criminal code let him out on bail. Enough is enough. Ontario has done its part. Peel has done its part. Peel Police, they've gone above and beyond what anybody could reasonably expect of them. We need the federal government to do their part. Let's make it happen. Thank you.